Hello there, outliers. Niiamah here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We have an incredible roundtable set up for us today with four awesome outliers and trailblazers who are going to share how they are approaching the world right now and navigating toward their next levels of success. Let's go ahead and get to know these outliers here. Jay, let's start off with you. Would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Yeah, so I am Jay Floyd. I am a data leader, right? So I'm a data engineering manager by trade. I work for a company named Zapier. It's in that role, I lead teams who build systems for automation and AI. Lead a team of data engineers. But my work is never really just about the tech, it's about people. I am a people leader through and through. Outside of tech, I have my own life coaching business, and I also coach for Minto, and they pair me up with other organizations. So I ended up coaching a lot of data managers who are like in similar roles as me at other companies. And it's really interesting to help other leaders grow. My main strength is I am a strengths-based life coach. I help people find their uniqueness, right? It's what I call, how did you get here? I help people lean into the actual journey that they went through to get there. And I don't know if a lot of folks know a lot about tech, but that's kind of the antithesis of how most people approach jobs at tech. They usually hide how they got there to try to blend in. What I do is kind of flip that inside out, and I've written a book on it called Rare on Purpose, and I host a podcast called Uncut Gems where I talk to some people about their life stories and how they got there. And my passion is helping people realize that their identity is their greatest advantage.
Jay, we are kindred spirits in many different ways here, right? Like, there's a reason why it's outliers edge. It's not, it's like your whole edge is your identity, who you are
Nice.
being, you know? I'm really excited for this year. Like, yeah, I have a background in tech myself, and so I'm really curious about some of the ways you see things and grow. Thanks for being here, Jay.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Charlotte, let's get to know you. You mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone. I'm Charlotte, and I'm founder of the Authentic Girls Club. I'm also co-owner as well, and Kat is also in the room, which is super exciting. So, we are a duo, aren't we, Kat? We are life coaches. We're positive psychology coaches, and we're also alcohol-free coaches as well. And our passion is really helping women in their "is this it" era when maybe they've got to a point in life where they're like, is this it for me? And we are the people that are like, hell no, it is not. And we are the people that help you find where you're going next. And it's been such an incredible journey because yes, we're coaches, but we are women who've been there and been through that kind of loss of identity, which was really interesting hearing you say that, Jay, as well, which was fantastic. Like this finding that uniqueness again, finding that passion, finding that purpose when you get to a certain point in life is something that we've been through and something that we absolutely love helping our ladies through. So that's a little bit about us.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, Charlotte. Why don't we go? I'm actually really excited to explore both of this. I love when I have like co-owners together on the podcast. It opens up a lot. Um, Ambika, let's get to know you. You mind saying
I'm
more about you and the game you're playing?
sure. I'm Ambika Devi, and I play in the crossroads of philosophy, language, and the mind. Currently shaping my seventh book. It's getting ready to go into production, and my doctoral thesis, and they are different yet very much related. My books and my work as a coach and a speaker help people to realize the power in their own voice and the power of words. And I use mythological archetypes and inspire courage and empowerment by helping people bring out the myth that they are.
Oh, there's something in that last bit that just like hit me hard. The myth that they are. Y'all don't mess around, do you?
That's
Y'all like
powerful.
I can feel
I love that.
yeah, this is a round table here. Kat, I purposely didn't come right after Charlotte because sometimes I'll do that and then it's like, oh, it's all been said. You as your own entity, we'd love to get to know you and how you're playing your game here. Do you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're playing?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, I'm Cat Houghton. So I too am the co-owner of the Authentic Girls Club, so positive psychology coach, alcohol-free performance coach. I always have another string to my bow. So I've been in hospitality for nearly 2 decades. I'm a restaurant owner as well. So equally passionate about that. But what really lights me up in the game I'm playing is have women see and believe in themselves, be and believe in themselves, and kind of have them come back home to who they truly are authentically. And what we love to do in the work that we do is have women just create this best relationship with themselves. So making sure that that inner language, that inner dialogue, that self-talk is like they're talking to somebody that they absolutely love. And that really, really lights me up. So it's about having women have their own back and being their own best cheerleaders. That's our biggest flex.
Oh, I love this year. Yeah, I'm very excited for this conversation. There's something that's playing for me. What I get is like all of you in your own way find like help people be powerful in who they are and bring that out into the world. I haven't used the word power really in a while in this context. I'm like, I think I trust you all to have a conversation here around where power is centered throughout, right? We'll see how that actually comes out in fruition. So let me ask you this question here. The let's assume we start off with the premise that like being you, right, like is in and of itself one of the most powerful things you can do. Let's start off with that premise. We're not trying to get to that point, all right? One of the things, like I'm really curious about how you all have navigated like the what I'll call like the hidden cost to this. I'm going to start off with that, right? Like there's an element where it seems really bright. Go be you, play in your strengths. Like, like let me show you your flex. Like all those things sound really great, right? But there's what I found is that there's something that most people don't recognize is like as you do this, there's something that life asks of you. And I'm curious about like let's have a conversation about that. What does it take brought for you? And we'll just jump off from there. Don't worry about like the specificity of the question. Let's use it as our jumping point. Anyone want to get us started?
Mm. I think when you talk about something that life asks of you, the first thing that comes to mind is, for me, is courage. Having that courage to walk in the area you're supposed to without, I think there's a lot of comfort in walking in what you have decided in your mind is where everybody should be, right? And I say this out of a personal journey, right? So uh, I don't want to do too long of a speech, but just really quickly from where I grew up in a really rough place in Cleveland, Ohio, and had a really rough upbringing, but I was um, always a very introspective kid and different. And it took a lot of courage to be me and not just say, you know what, I'm just going to do what everybody else is doing. And I grew up with an older brother who was the epitome of everything that everybody wanted to be where I was growing up. He had all those things. He was popular. He was like big. He was playing sports and nobody would mess with him, where I was kind of the opposite, right? I was that bookworm nerd who everybody would mess with. And he ended up being murdered when I was 16. He was 19. We lost him. And it sent me on a journey of you're going to have to figure this thing out and be you, right? You're going to have to be you. And I went for a long time kind of not caring and just coasting through life. And life still ended up putting me where I needed to be, right? I was on track to go to Harvard, Yale, etc. And I didn't do any of those things because I was traumatized. And I ended up still in those positions in the same room with the people who went to Harvard and Yale, etc. And when I got there in those rooms, I didn't want to talk about anything that I've been through, right? When how did you grow up? Came up in offices, I would make something up, right? I would lie. I would fictionalize some normal story, what I thought was normal story. I didn't want to be that black kid who's everybody sympathizes with, and oh, he's a sad story. So I just made stuff up. But I came to the realization that when you talk about power,
Mm.
that was holding back all of my power. Like all of the power that has sent me on the trajectory that got me there, I was denying it, right? I would come to work and lie about it all. And it took some therapy and moments of clarity to have the courage to finally say, you know what? This is what brought me here, right? And I think the thing is, and I'll wrap up with this, the lie that I was believing is that I was abnormal and everybody else who had arrived there obviously had arrived there through normal circumstances. And that's just completely untrue. And what I had to realize, the truth is, we're all unique and there's power in all of the uniqueness, right? And I think not only did that help me overcome like a traumatic thing, it helped me see what my journey was and what my path is in life, helping people see their uniqueness.
I appreciate this here, Jay. Like there's something that's showing up here. And firstly, like thank you for being real with your story. You know, I can see like you went from like, hey, I'm not even sharing. I want to make something up to like, hey, this is it. I want to make sure that I center it here. You said something the lie that I believe, you know, and outliers. I'm going to invite you to think about for yourself, what's a lie that you may be believing right now that might be present for you. Thanks for getting us started on this, Jay. Charlotte, Kat, Ambika, let's open this up here. Like what's coming to you either in response to anything that Jay said or like still along the lines of like
Oh,
power and how you show up?
definitely, Jay. I find myself saying to clients pretty much every day, encouragement about being vulnerable with what their deeper feelings are. And I talk to people one on one about relationships, relationships of friends, family, work relationships, and romance relationships. And if we can allow ourselves to be in that vulnerable place, well, a lot of times we don't because we don't feel safe. And so, if we want the people around us, like if we're in a leadership position, I think one of the most profound and powerful things a leader can do is instill that safety, security, and trust as the utmost important thing so that everybody and the team and this, you put this into perspective of any type of relationship. If you want your partner to open up more to you, you've got to be vulnerable and be okay with sharing things. And the most important thing is that there's no perfect. There's no such thing as balance. It's always a harmonic, like in music. And even when we hear notes that aren't ringing in perfect harmony, they're still making music. So
Mhm.
if we can get ourselves to that place with feelings and being okay with it and being okay that maybe we agree to disagree, I think we can all move forward and get over the amnesia that we're not connected to each other, which is absolutely the amnesia people are suffering.
Mm.
That is so good. And the music part. Wow. That's magic. I love it.
I cancel the word balance in what I talk about and what I teach and write about because I was a musician for many years. I've worn a ton of hats, but in music, it's the space between the sound
Hmm.
that's more interesting and creates its flavor. And if we can be okay with that space, I think when it comes to feelings, what I notice is people are really freaked out by their own feelings
Yeah.
because I think we're taught this at an early age. And especially, Jay, like you were talking about your role model and then all the feelings that having your role model leave early, in your life, that leaves you with a lot of vulnerability, but that's where your beauty and strength is to me.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'd love to pick up on something that Jay said as well, and that was the feeling of feeling different. And for me, on my journey of kind of coming back to myself and stepping back into who I am without the who I should be or the labels and the layers. Feeling different has definitely been part of my journey, and there's been uncomfort in that, and that there was almost something wrong that I was feeling different. And it's been almost like a remembering game, like remembering who I was before I started to alter who I was because I felt different, if that makes sense. So kind of changing I suppose what I'm coming to is the people pleasing. So kind
Mhm.
of if I'm feeling a little different and I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable or I want to people please, I alter who I am at my core just to fit in or to shrink, and to be liked or to not make others feel uncomfortable. So for me, my journey has been really kind of an unpicking of that and unshrinking and remembering, well, who was I before I started to kind of change from feeling different, because it's cool to be different. It really is. And that's been something to, yeah, to kind of realize along the journey.
It really is.
Absolutely.
You said one thing about, people pleasing, and that's been a huge journey for me of learning not to do that. And like you said, we do it because we don't want to make other people uncomfortable. And the crazy thing is the thing I've learned is discomfort is growth, right?
Mhm.
And so
Mm.
when we're avoiding discomfort, we're limiting the growth. Like even of rooms that we walk in, if we're trying to make everybody comfortable, we're limiting our impact to help the room grow. And so I have to remind myself of that a lot.
It's like a numbing agent. You don't need it because then you're just allowing yourself to feel.
Yeah, I think I have definitely experienced all of this, which is really, really incredible to obviously hear and be in this room with. But absolutely, just to pick back up on the different thing, that was definitely me as well. And for me, the kind of really tough part was actually sitting with myself and realizing that I matter as well. So I think I got so lost in people pleasing and everybody else first that there was actually a moment in my journey where it was a random YouTube meditation that I just put on one day. And it invited me to put my hand on my heart and just to listen to its beat. And I was like, wow. And it was so profound because I was like, I have never even given my heart the time of day or actually kind of realized that there's a beating heart in there that needs me as well because I'd got so lost looking after everybody else. And that moment has kind of never left me and kind of pushed me forwards into this journey really. And with that, when kind of bringing it back to kind of the things that we have to that kind of come with growth, I think there's also been some sadness there. And I've kind of now voiced this to you, Kat, but sadness that maybe not having been there for myself in
Mm.
the past and kind of dulling myself down. And I think there's been a lot of healing there and healing work for me to actually go back to those moments and give that little Charlotte that did dull herself down that love again and actually that encouragement and that you go, like you say what you think. So that's kind of, yeah, a big part of my journey and almost, yeah, the kind of thing that maybe is not spoken about so much, that sadness, but also that healing and that power that then when you've got that connection to yourself and that encouragement with self, wow, you can use that.
I love that you put your hand on your heart. That was
Mm.
that was really I always there's a couple of things. I write a lot of speeches and little things that sometimes I give in public, and one of them is talking about the miracle of life, right? And how many miracles have to go on just for us to wake up, right? Like there's literally thousands of miracles happening to separate our bodies from the dust that they return to eventually, right? There is so many things happening, like to blink your eye, to break, to have your heart beat, to take a breath, right? And to regulate your body temperature
Mm.
at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's very hot. If it was 98.6 degrees outside, we would all be sweating. But there is something that's choosing to regulate you that hot. And that's a fire burning in us, right? So I always say, as long as that fire is burning, we owe it to whatever's choosing to reignite that fire every day to give it back, right?
I'm gonna jump in on this. This feels really cool. I like that element of fire. What's firing you all up right now? Like, what's the thing that you're doing right now in your work and in your business? Like, we want to see like what visions are you creating and that and what's lighting you up right now. Ambika, I'm feeling called to you right now. Would you do you mind getting us started on this one and
Oh,
then we'll let you take it?
absolutely. Uh, what's got me really fired up is, of course, coming to the culmination point of a book, this is my seventh that I'm birthing right now, and it is a birthing process. My first book took me 13 years from the time I started writing it till the day it was published. And this book, though some was curriculum and other things, I really got clear on what I wanted to create last November, and now it's August, and the manuscript's done. So you can see how much quicker the process goes. And then 13 years, that number seems to come up for me a lot. I was challenging for a PhD 13 years ago, hit the wall twice, gave up, and then just gave it one more shot when I started writing this book because I had an idea of how I could get in there with my professor one more time, even though I've done so much research. And somehow I unlocked that door, and he gave me the green light. And he does throw wrenches, but when you work with somebody for that many years, I think you can get used to it. It's like being in a family and being in a relationship. There's renewal times, there's decay times. We all have seasons, that we go through emotionally, physically, spiritually, intellectually. And I think if we can accept these seasonal changes that we have, it gets me fired up when I get creative. But I'm totally fine with it if I'm not doing much and I'm watching YouTube videos or reading books or just staring at the sky. I mean, just enjoying life. And I have to say, Charlotte, have you never gone underwater and put your ears underwater in a bathtub and listened to your heartbeat? Because if you haven't, submerge. As I do that all the time. And I live in Florida. It's hot here, and I try to go walking before the sun comes up in the morning to get a long walk in. And I come home and I just float on my back in the water in my pool and sometimes chant. And with your ears underwater, you can get into your internal physical space in such a magical way. So, everybody, go submerge and listen to your heartbeat. You can do it in your bed with some pillows if you get the angles just right.
Love that. Oh, I'll be doing that for sure. I've never even thought about that, but now I can see it and feel it, and yeah, love that. Amazing.
This is a place that's fun for me here, right? So like now I want to step in here. Like one of the things I'm going to be playing with just in this conversation, I'm like, the term people pleasing has showed up. And now that people pleasers in the room, I'm gonna be paying attention for it, right? And it's so just know that I'll be looking
Such a
like
coaching thing to do.
well, you know what though? Like every moment with me is a transformation, right? Even
Hmm.
and so there's a place here that I'm going to come back to the question around what's firing you up, right? But I also I'm gonna look in and be like I'm okay if someone says if we say something and like we don't align with it,
Hmm.
because
Mm.
I think that like there's how do I say it? We get to be demonstrations of what that looks like because that like to me that's one of the costs. One of the costs is that you can't be a people pleaser anymore. Like people aren't gonna like you might step on toes. You might have someone like relationships end because of it. I'm so passionate about people being authentically themselves and owning who they are unapologetically and unabashedly, but it can suck. It can really suck, especially when you're in the transition to it and you're like, I have my old life and I have this life right now. And so if you don't mind, like every once in a while you're gonna see me like bring it in. I'm like, yeah, like y'all have walked the walk. So I want to make sure that we put it out there. Anything coming up for you? Like Jay, it feels like my furnace has been lit up right here. I'm like,
There
I'm
you go.
98.8 degrees right now, get a little hotter. You know, what flows through you? Like this is what's lighting me up right now, I guess. Right? What's flowing through y'all right now?
What you just shared there actually about the transition. So transitioning from people pleaser to not being a people pleaser. And what we touched on earlier is the discomfort, but the discomfort in the growth. So as part of the journey is to kind of recognize that it's not aligning, maybe someone's opinion or something. And that shift, that choice within to go, okay, well, I could choose to do something different here. I don't actually have to go along for the ride and just keep them comfortable. But it's gonna might feel a little bit uncomfortable for me to do that. But I'm prepared to do that now because I am wanting to get back in tune with me and actually I don't agree or whatever that may look like. And for me personally, that was almost just kind of being quiet in some moments. So almost no response was my response. So rather than an agreement, rather than a yes, it was I'm just going to give myself some time to process this. And that no response could be my response. And I think also a part of it is the boundaries when you do kind of realize that it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to just make everybody like you. That's okay. Like the sooner I realize that, the better. And actually to honor myself and my needs and put some boundaries in place. I don't have to be harsh, but that's saying yes to me. It might be saying no to somebody else, but it's saying yes to me. And that is that journey back to self. And it was definitely a transition and definitely some uncomfortable moments. But that is the growth, isn't it?
It is. You got to be willing to take up space, right?
Yeah.
One of my mentors first told me when I first got in the corporate world, he said, if you ain't living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. And so you got to be willing to be out there. Um, I don't know. I was going to give you a challenge, Kat. I was going to tell you right now to take up space. You should change your name back to Charlotte. I was going to tell you that. But I'm like, no, I kind of get the feeling you go by Kat anyway. So I guess that's not a big enough challenge.
I get called Caroline sometimes, which is a bit random, but yeah, I'm still
It's funny how you say that about taking up space, because I think that's definitely been something that I'm probably actively still working on. And even logging into this space, like I won't lie, there was nerves there. And for me to voice myself and to like I feel like even when you said that, I'm like, shoulders back, Charlotte, just rise. So I think that's definitely something just to kind of add to. I think it's yeah, I'm still working on that, which is really good to hear you talk more and more kind of
Oh,
checking.
Say that last
Sorry.
sentence one more time, Charlotte. You broke up just a bit. I want to make sure that we get that.
Yeah, so I was just saying I'm kind of really actively still working on taking up space and even logging into, this call tonight. The nerves were a little bit obviously there, and I felt myself go a bit like this. And I don't know whether you've seen, but I've been continuously stretching up a little bit because it's that trusting in my voice, kind of trusting that what I have to say matters. And that's been part of my journey, and it still very much is.
I
Yeah.
smile with this for two reasons. One, like everything I do is on multiple levels. And so like to have the opportunity where you can come back and you can be in real space and say, oh, okay, how am I showing up in this room? Like outliers, when was the last time you gave yourself a chance to be uncomfortable? So you had a chance to go and do the work in real time to say, like, oh, I can like what how does that show up? Like even that element where like I went to 98.8, I'm like, is this too much for like this room? Like what's happening? Like,
no.
am I showing up right? Like, of course, like, if the answer is no, but at the same time, like, the reality is that like we're still human,
Hmm.
And so I'm
Oh,
really glad that
I think it's that we all have inner children.
tell
It's the inner child. We have all these different layers and all the bits we've been. And at any given moment in any day, we could become insulted. We could have a reaction to something. And then if we keep re-reacting to it, that's a choice.
Hmm.
If we're projecting old reactions on the present moment, that's a choice, right? And so we ultimately all have to be our best cheerleader, right? And the best phrase, and I have it pop up on my phone every day, I am enough. Come on. I mean, if you start saying that when you start feeling low, I mean, of course, I could give you a mirror exercise to do, but even just looking in your eyes in the mirror and saying, I love you, say your name, and say, I love you because, and see what comes out of your mouth, and I support you in, and I forgive you for, because we're human. We're having a human experience. And sure, it depends on where you're circling up, who you're with and how you have to behave. I guess being a writer who lives alone with no kids or pets, I can do what I want when I want. And I'm in my 60s, so
Look at her
I've had
bragging.
plenty of time. And uh, I will tell you, like fine wine, age helps. It really does. And you get to a point where you have to just be you, boo. You just have to. And own it and love you and I am enough. Let that be your cheerleading chant.
Yeah. I know a lot of people struggle with that because, you know, and even I do sometimes, right? Of being growth minded. I'm always overly growth minded, right? So I have to like dial it back sometimes. But I put myself in more discomfort than the average person because I love seeing the growth result out of it. But you also have to balance that with some self-compassion, and you cannot just put yourself into the furnace every day, all the time, right? There comes a time where you self-compassion is super important. So I try to like remind myself, be where your feet are, right? Like you've made it thus far. There is more journey, but right now, just be where your feet are, right?
Mm.
Sometimes you can have a seat right there and enjoy yourself or, relax for a second. Or you might receive some tough criticism and feedback. That's cool too. But be where your feet are. Appreciate what got you there and appreciate you got some more work to do, but it's all right where you are, man. It's perfectly fine, I saw this speech once where this guy said that no airplane flies in a straight line. It always guesses where it's going, and then it has a black box in it that's constantly redirecting it. So at the end of the day, what it really flies in is a zigzag, and it reaches its destination though. And that's kind of how we are, right? We're constantly receiving certain feedback or thinking about growth, or sometimes we're just taking a moment and appreciating where we are, and then we'll get that correction again, 2 more degrees over here to the right, and eventually we get where we're supposed to go.
I love that. I love that analogy. And I kind of, we have a visual that we kind of share with our ladies as well, that sometimes we think that life is, kind of a straight line and just constantly going up. But like you say, it's that zigzag. And sometimes it'll stay still for a little bit. Sometimes we might loop backwards and we need to learn a little lesson and go and do that again. Or sometimes we shoot forwards, or sometimes, yeah, it goes back and forth. And I do apologize. I do need to turn my light on. And this is another growth moment for me because the time has changed from when I last worked up here. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope you can see me.
Growth moment, and this is like symbolic where she's turning the
Lighting
lights
up.
on, right? She's enlightening.
Yeah,
Shining bright.
I'm going to go do it really quick.
No problem.
Amazing. I
I
feel that what's really important along these journeys is to really, and just touching on what you said, Ambika, is that we are enough, we're born enough. And it's really checking in with ourselves and seeing and celebrating, isn't it? Seeing and celebrating all that we are and all that we do, because we can so easily shift to, well, I'm not this, or I didn't do that, or I can't, or I haven't. But actually taking those moments to pause and just seeing that I'm complete, I am whole, I am enough. And what we love to do every month is we write ourselves thank you notes. Like we sit down, we have a thank you book, and we write ourselves a thank you letter every month and just really anchor back into like, look what I've done this month, look what I've achieved. And it's not ever rating the size of the achievements, like none of that matters. It can be, the smallest thing in every single day, but it's thanking ourselves for making those choices, for growing, for being grateful. And yeah, just really seeing and celebrating ourselves, I think is really, really key to this journey and the self-love and the being and feeling enough.
I think if we're chasing something or we think there's some light at the end of the tunnel that we're supposed to reach, we get confused thinking that's destiny. No, destiny is where you are right now. Just like Jay said, look down at your feet. Where are your feet? Destiny is where you are right now, and you can look back and say, this is how I got here.
Love that.
Absolutely. The journey is
Quite-
life, isn't it?
Mhm.
It really is. There was a quote in the Eckhart Tolle book that really stood out to me, and I had to test it out, but it was, there are no problems in the present moment. And I was like, and I had to sit with it, and I had to go, oh. And I was like, there literally aren't. Like, actually, in the very, very moment that we are in right this second, everything's fine. And like that, I always anchor back to that. And it's like a big deep breath moment, like you say, be where your feet are and be right here, and everything kind of then kind of flows rather than force, I suppose.
Yeah, there's a power in that right now, right? One of the things I remind myself of is because sometimes you can start to feel like you're too late on something, right? Like, hey, I got a book idea and I didn't publish it when I first thought of, now I'm too late. I tend to remind myself, like, right now is the time, right? Like, I've never been more experienced. I've never been smarter. I've never known more than right now. But at the same time, I'll never be as young. I'll never be as energetic as right now. So I always try to remind myself of that combination, that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Think about that with the right now part of it when it comes to like the cost of things. So when I look at the business and things, I'm like, oh, if I was showing up the way I had the business, I could have done something with like, Facebook ads before Meta ads, before people even knew about that there. I'm like you could have things will never be as cheap as they are right now. Is like what I say. I'm like, and I'm like, all right, so like, but what I can do is outpace any kind of growth that cost is going to have too. So I love this element of being able to step into this moment and play it out. I got to say this. So for any of you that are just listening, you might want to come back and watch the video on the chair. Charlotte, thank you so much for turning on the light. All right. And I'm gonna say it for like two reasons here. It's a really 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 powerful. One of them is like, yes, we can see you like better, but like what I like underneath some of this here, when I ask you like what is the cost and like really showing up as fully, it's like there's a desire that I feel we have to be seen, and oftentimes oftentimes like when the sun does something where it just all of a sudden starts setting, and it's like we're having a conversation about how do you be seen, and then all of a sudden we start fading, and I'm like, how like what if these are all like parts of it? And like I want to say thank you too, because you also just did it in the middle.
Mhm.
It in the middle of the conversation, right? It like you didn't wait for it to be convenient or not. You just you're like, now this is it. I get to in this moment choose a different direction. In this moment, I get to choose something different. I think that like these are like we're having the conversation here, but there's all these meta moments that like that's where like the transformations really, really occur. So Charlotte, I just want to make sure I call that in. Is there anything that you want to say to that? You don't have to, but I just want to like give some space for that if so.
Yeah, I'd really love to actually, because I think that's really kind of a key part of my journey. Because old Charlotte would have sat here getting really worried about it and not made a change, and wouldn't have wanted to go and, like you say, go and do that mid podcast, go and turn the light on. But actually, this Charlotte has learned to be herself and to actually forgive herself for not turning the light on and going, no, I'm going to go be seen. And there was a moment actually kind of on my journey, a really pivotal moment of this, where I was kind of a really stuck stay-at-home mum, loved being with my kids, but I wanted something for me, and I had to put myself into a new space. And I was sat there, found myself on this huge business call, networking with people. I didn't have a business yet, but I was taking that messy action, putting myself in those new spaces. And I was sat there, and every part of me, when they said, you're going to go into breakout rooms and pitch your business, which I didn't have a clue at that point, really what I was doing, I had a little idea. Every part of me wanted to run and to press that leave now button. But there was a little part that came forward and said, what would happen if you just be yourself and get into that breakout room and say, I don't fully know what I'm doing yet, but I'm here to learn. And I got into that breakout room. I did exactly that. And who did I meet? Cat.
Wow. Wow.
So
Oh, this
you
is
never, ever know. Be yourself. Do that thing that you need to do. Forgive yourself. Like, just have fun with life as well. And I think that's been it. I used to take it so seriously, and now I'm like, just grow, have fun, like be the best you, live the best life that you can, like do the things that are in your heart and that are calling you forward. I've got goosebumps now because it just feels like that's coming out in such a way that maybe I've wanted it to for a long time, and we found ourselves here today, which is just incredible for me to do that. So yeah, that's just to add a little more context to that story.
Well, no, I'm really glad. I'm really glad that you did. Like, thank you, because yeah, there's a journey that you all have allowed us to go on. We're going to start wrapping up today, but the journey allowed us to go on and said, like, I see each of you as being incredibly powerful people out in the world. I'm really glad that your world has you, right? And I've been able to make sure outliers know how they can go deeper in your world. But a lot of times, I find that we compare how we're feeling on the inside with how others look on the outside. And I wanted to say thank you to each of you, because each of you have taken some time to be able to say, like, regardless of what you see going on out here, this is me. This is also me. This is my story. This is me right now in the present. This is me right now in the now. Like, this is me. Because you said something about like helping people walk, like, and bring out their myth of themselves, something to that language. I was like, I have a client who like needs to hear this right now. Like I immediately know who I'm sending this episode to, right? Like as soon as we get done, like before it even gets to these, I'm like you need to hear this. There's someone out here who's walking the journey that you're trying to walk. Like it's been
Mm.
done. You're not alone. You're not like you're not crazy for thinking this. Like it's been done, and it's grounded, and it's like it's all here. And each of you have really brought that to the table. And so I haven't asked you. This is for every outlier and trailblazer that's listening. The same way that like I thought I was able to think of one person who immediately could get value from this conversation. I'm going to ask that you think of one person in your world who would really benefit from this conversation and send it to them. I want to go and say, go out and share it on all your socials. And please, I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But I think that the reality is, like, especially with something like this, like, it's about making sure that the right message gets to the right person at the right time, you know? And it occurred to me just like 2 or 3 days ago where I'm like, oh, and this never has to stop. If this episode goes from one person to the next with the exact right people to hear the message that Jay, Charlotte, Kat, and Amika were like sharing here, then I think everyone wins. Like, and so my ass is keep like join us in the one person, one conversation at a time initiative, and let's make sure that the right people are getting this when they need it. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up our conversation, and the way that we wrap up our conversations here are twofold. The first thing we do, I always say two, and then it's like it ends up being three. So I'll just say three going forward. This are threefold. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put outliers and trailblazers to the side, right? They've gotten what they come for, and now we're gonna shift a little bit of the focus. What I'd like for you to do is to share with us the best way for outliers to go deeper down the journey with you. There's a lot of different ways that people can contact us nowadays. I'm going to ask you to put out like your best way. If there's a, something to download you want them to go to, if there's a social media site you want to go to, like that's fine. But like, let's try and keep it concise overall. All right. This so share how they can go deeper down the journey with you. And then the second part is for you to share for your like what's an insight that you are leaving this conversation with. I'm with a lot of like coaches and growth, like so like if we're every moment has a space for transformation, no matter how we're playing it. And so I'll be curious about in which ways have you been transformed. And if you're like, hey, look, like it was a good conversation, but nothing really shifted for me, that's fine too. Right. Don't feel pressure to make something up on it. Okay. So how we can go deeper down the journey with you and what's an insight that you took. So why don't we start with you, Ambika? Would you mind sharing that?
Sure. The best way to get in touch with me, find my social media, my books, my blog, my podcast is myname.com. So it's ambikadevi.com, AMBIKADEVI.com. And you can write me a message there. There's free classes you can take and all kinds of tools for you for free. I'd like to leave you with this thought, still continuing on with the idea of you being a myth and the music. In one of my books, I wrote, you are the song your ancestors sung around the fire at night.
That I love that there. And Abika, before we move on, I'm going to come back to you specifically. Is there something in here that you want to share with all of us so that we have a chance to see, like, and what insight or takeaway are you leaving with for today?
The words that jump out to me, uh, the ideas are be yourself, be in your power, be right where you are, know where your feet are, and the future is your imagination. But if you need some stability, just look at what brought you here.
Thank you, Ambika. I'm glad that you're here. Kat, let's come to you.
Fab. So if you would like to go deeper with Charlotte and I, so that is us at the Authentic Girls Club, the best way to reach out to us would be to DM us on our Instagram, which is simply at the Authentic Girls Club, because we'd love to have a conversation, don't we, Charlotte? We'd love to hear about you and your world. So reach out to us there just simply by DM. And also, if you want to continue and tune into our conversations, we also have our podcast on Spotify, which is the Authentic Girls Club as well, where we have real, raw conversations with each other on all things personal development and growth. And in terms of a takeaway, and sort of just a feeling from tonight, really, is that it's actually a reminder to myself to continue putting myself out of my comfort zone, to do those things that are a little scary, to be open-minded, because you just don't know where something might lead. So keep open, go for it, see things as an opportunity, and just embrace it all. And like Charlotte said, enjoy it, have fun with it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for embracing this opportunity. Jay, let's come to you next. What's the best way to go deeper? And what insight have you gotten, if any?
Yeah, the best way to go deeper with me is to go to my website, imjfloyd.com. You can find all of my books. You can get them there. You can sign up for coaching. You can check out my podcast there, or find me on the socials. As far as an insight that I'm taking away from today, it's very similar to what Kat said. I love that we all brought a unique perspective. I can tell that we're all very powerful coaches, including our wonderful host here today. But I think the thing that I loved is how we were challenged and even in this moment, right? So this was not just a moment to come and be comfy and give all of our fluffy quotables, but we were also challenged to walk the walk and model what we coach right here in this hour. So I love that. I'm going to take it not only the challenge with me of not people pleasing and pressing against that, but also the challenge of remembering every hour you can think about how can I model more of what I know is the best way to go.
I appreciate that, Jay. You've helped me remember something that I've forgotten here. And thank you. Just thank you deeply. And Charlotte, why don't you bring us all home here, deeper down the journey and the insight you got?
Yeah, amazing. So, as Kat said, yeah, we love to have a conversation. We love to connect. We love to understand where people are, where they want to be, and help bridge that gap through connection. So please do reach out to us on Instagram. That's kind of our home. We are on other platforms, but we keep coming back there. So yeah, at the Authentic Girls Club. And gosh, for me, so many takeaways, and just to be like, I love the online space that literally brings people together in from all over the world to have these conversations. And I always go back to that story that I shared earlier of where I very nearly said, leave now, and got myself out of that room. And if I had have got myself out of that room, I would not be here today. Like I would not be doing the things I am today. And that was one decision. So I think it kind of really comes back to the power in just one decision to do something different and to actually, like I said, put yourself out there. So yeah, I really want to thank you all for being here, being in this space, and allowing me to be in here, because I've absolutely loved it.
Well, thank you so much, Charlotte. Y'all all have been fantastic. This has been a gem of a conversation. I'm really, really grateful for you all. All right. And outliers, here we go. Until the next time that we talk, be you on purpose. Journey on.